Okay. Good morning, Crystal. Well, good afternoon, Crystal.
Good afternoon,
How are you, ma'am?
Jevon. I'm good. I'm good for an
It's
October
yeah.
going into now where I think we're about a week away from real fall or something. Or no, was that in September? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, September.
It was September. Yeah, I think it was the
Yeah.
21st. Yeah, we've been in fall for a while.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like it, but yes, we've been in it. I
Yes, we're
talked to
in
a
it.
colleague of mine out in Boston. He says it was too cold to smoke a cigar outside, and I thought, man, that would be really, really awesome. These last couple of weeks have been brutal, but I have to admit, these last few days have been lovely for me, and uh, and I know we've got one more coming up that's going to be brutal, but after that, I think we're going to be okay. So
Yeah.
that's
But
cool.
you and I, we're both from cold countries. You more so than I am. I don't know if we can complain too much since I mean in Buffalo we used to have like 40 below zero, and I know Alaska had something even more outrageous and outlandish than 40 below zero.
Sometimes it did, but I didn't go there. I have no sense to stay someplace a little bit warmer than that most times of the year. Yeah, but I will tell you this: my home is now Southern California. I am a weather wimp to the max. If
Totally
it's
forgot about Alaska's weather.
totally gone, if it's not between 60 and 80, I'm having a problem, and
You
I'm
having a
telling people
problem?
about it. I'm letting folks know. I might be able to do 85 if I'm on the beach, close to the water. But other than that,
Okay.
so when we were getting up there in those high 80s, oh, Jay Thomas was not happy. No.
Okay. Okay.
The worst part about it is I didn't lose any weight. I just stayed fat. That's not cool. You,
Well,
you
I
know, you
think
got to
you
go through all of this and stay fat. That's just not cool.
Well, you gotta drink a lot of water to release that, and exercise. There's a whole lot of other stuff that go along with that.
Thank you, Crystal.
I'm
Appreciate
sorry.
that.
I'm
Thank you
sorry.
very much.
But it's a nice thought.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I appreciate that.
Here's an invention. I was talking to my kids the other day about being innovative and disruptive when they're creating businesses. I just started another biz institute, the fall program, right?
Oh,
And so
cool.
I was telling them to think out of the box.
Yeah,
So some of them don't have an idea. I think it would be absolutely great. So you know how when you go to the airport, you have to walk through the X-ray in
yeah.
order to be one. Just imagine if that had some fat melting properties and you walk through the door on one side and came back on the other side at your
It's a little
perfect
thinner.
weight. You go in, you plug in what you want your perfect
Perfect
weight to
weight
be,
is. Yeah.
and you come out on the other side the
Yeah.
perfect weight. I
Yes.
think
I like
that
that.
should be an invention. What you think?
I like it a lot.
Okay, all
I
right.
like it a
I'm
lot.
gonna put a kid on
Yeah,
that.
that would be good. The problem is we won't know what to wear. I mean, we go in all chunky and all happy and chunky, and then we go through that thing, and then we're like mean and thin, but our clothes aren't fitting anymore. You
Well,
gotta,
that would mean your closet as now. I don't know about men, but most women have three sizes in their closet.
but you're not having it with you. You're not taking
No,
it.
no, no,
You're not
no,
taking it
no.
to the
This is
airport.
not gonna be at the airport. This is gonna be like at a doctor's office. You're gonna be able to go
Oh,
in, and then
okay.
you can come out
Yeah,
your perfect weight. But of course, there's some mental stuff because
yeah,
there's a reason
yeah.
why you put on the weight. So you
That's
gotta
that's
work
true.
through that. And on
That's
the
true.
other side of that, this is what you get to do. You get to go, and then you go in your closet and say, "This is the size."
I that sounds wonderful, and I'm glad you said it would be an individual thing too, because my perfect weight is certainly not what a lot of people think it should be. I
Okay.
like to
Well, no,
have,
it's got to be for you.
yeah, got it. That's a cool thing.
Yeah,
So
I think it
last
should
time
be.
we had a bunch of folks, or a few folks that I knew personally from back in the day, and I'm
Yes,
so
you did.
happy that I got a chance to talk to him. I didn't get to talk to Quentin McHenry, who's a great guy. A very funny man, actually. I didn't get a chance to talk with him, but I did reach out to Mark, and we had a good conversation, and that was just super cool. So hopefully those guys will jump on again. But
Okay.
I want to first read your bio, but then we want to talk about those two topics, inflation and why now is a great time to start your 401k plan. Of course, I have to say, since I sell retirement plans, that it's always a good time to get a retirement plan. I'm just going to put that out there as a disclaimer so that people don't think I'm, stock in the river or something like that. So
I think that's important. I think you
yeah.
need to be clear on that all the time.
All the time. Okay, so can I read your bio and then
You most
we'll
certainly
get
can.
right into it? Okay.
Hmm.
So first of all, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome my friend and colleague, Crystal Mitchell. She is a business coach and consultant, the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions. She's a co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, co-host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, that other weekly online radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and last but not least, a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Welcome, Crystal, and thanks for joining me today. Always a pleasure, ma'am.
And it's always my pleasure as well. Glad to be here.
Okay, so we have some experimentation that we're going to try. We're
Okay.
going to talk about these articles, and I know you've had some experience, some people talking with you about how inflation is hitting their retirement. So talk to us about that. What you got going on?
Well, right now that seems, we're in election year, so in election time, right? So that is the chief conversation that is going on. And so for some of our populations, actually, I think in today's world, all our populations, because we're still on the backside of the pandemic, right? So,
Right.
which, millions and millions and billions of dollars transpired in order to keep everybody functioning and alive during that time. And
Yep.
it's just amazing to me, when I hear everybody coming out with, their causes and why you should vote for them, they're all going to the inflation piece, right? But
Right.
okay, you forgot what happened. We lost 3 years, basically, right?
Yeah.
2020, 2021, and 2020, the first half of 2022, we're still in recovery mode. So this
Mhm.
is actually the effect of that. And yes, everything is costly. But we also have things going on in the world, and we ask for the world to be globally connected. So when the world is globally connected, then there are external factors that affect all of us. We don't live on an island by ourselves anymore.
Right.
But I think on the same note, if you're on a fixed income, you're probably feeling it more so than others. But
Yes.
as
And
we
if
have
you're
been,
not very wealthy as well.
if you're not very wealthy, you're feeling it. But one of the things you and I talk about consistently every week on the show is planning for the inevitable, right? We know there's going to be a crisis, and we don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be some sort of crisis in this country at some given point in time. And so when you're in your prep for retirement, then you got to plan for that. That was our show last week. You got to plan for what does that really look like, right?
Yes, very much so. And I think I think you made some great points in there. I think you're absolutely correct. Number one, the one of the best things I think you said in all of that was we're on the back end of that pandemic and a bunch of other things. I mean, if you talk to some people, they'll tell you that this inflationary pressure has been with us for a while. We got used to that 3% inflation that lasted a long time. I'm trying to think of when it wasn't 3%. I remember as a child it wasn't 3%, but I can't quite remember when we hit that and called that and figured out that was what inflation was. I've been doing this about 18 years. I don't want to say it was eight. I know it wasn't 18 years ago, but we've had it for a while. Some would say almost 20 years. We've had this inflationary thing that just never popped. Let's put it that way. And
Right.
and now we're paying the price for that. And I don't think you can blame the administration. A lot of people say, "Oh, it was the money that Trump gave us, and then Biden started giving us, and I don't think that's it. I think that may have been a part of it, But this issue started way before the Ukrainian war, way before the pandemic. We've been nursing that for a while, and there have been some pressures that all of a sudden made themselves manifest,
Mm-hmm.
and now we have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And, as you know, I think one of my favorite expressions is, this too will change, right? So, we have to expect that on the good side and the bad side.
Right.
So, yeah, there's a lot of people worried about inflation, but I know you've got a question in there. You're looking for that silver bullet. I know you are. What do you tell people that?
So, what do we tell people in order to survive this? What should they be doing, and what's on the horizon, and what's the best way from a retirement plan advisor, the best out there? I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
What should they be doing? And what should they not be doing? How about that?
Well, that one's easier.
Let's go with that one. What should they not be doing?
Yeah. As an advisor, I think so many times my answers are yes, no, maybe it depends, right? And I think that's one of those, unfortunately, this is one of those situations. Bless you for giving me that sticker there. So the issue is it really does depend. But, on the backside of this, I want to start that conversation of why now is an important time to start a 401k plan. And I think you'll see a common thread, because I think they're pretty much the same answers. One thing is, if you're waiting till now to do something about the inflationary aspect of what's going on, that's tough. Players are made in the off season, so we needed to do something beforehand, but that doesn't help, right? And I could say, there are some products out there that are guaranteed not to go below a certain level, or, and again, getting into those now is not necessarily a good idea. Mm-hmm. So, like I told a couple other folks last week, you were thinking of retiring at 62, collecting that Social Security, and hoping that was going to buttress your savings a bit. Maybe you should consider waiting until 65. Mm-hmm. I think it was you that said last week, we've been in this for a minute. We're going to be in it for a minute. I personally think, I'll go out on a limb, and I imagine I'll probably get some cards and letters, but I personally think that until we have a change in monetary policy directed by the Fed, we're not going to see a change. And I think that is going to be the bellwether when we do see a change. And that's when we need to start thinking about what's going to happen with the money that we have. But I don't have a silver bullet. Yeah. I wish I could. If you got enough money to buy some rent, maybe. But we saw what happened to those landlords during the pandemic. They couldn't throw anybody out. Folks stopped paying. Somebody had to make that mortgage. Ouch.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's always going to be some sort of crisis, whether it's weather or a pandemic. I mean, that one, took us completely by surprise, because we had no idea we were going to be in it for the length that we were in it. And a lot of us were like, oh, yeah, no, there is no way possible that could happen. Those of us that are in the econ of the world, and we do business that way, but it happened, right? Mm-hmm. It happened. So
it was unthinkable, but it happened.
It was unthinkable, but it did happen. So I think you just have to be prepared and weather for whatever. But when timing is everything. Timing is everything.
Timing is. I would say, not to bring in a sport analogy, but I'm going to bring in a sport analogy.
All right, go right ahead. It's sports season. It's football season. Baseball season.
So, I think the best defense is sometimes an offense, right? It's a solid offense. So in this situation, that means diversification. So if you're not diversified, that is, if you don't have some business connections and some real estate and some this and some that, you've got some stocks and mutual funds, you've got some 401ks, you got your Social Security, you've got a plethora of income sources. And I think that's a point that you made a few weeks ago about someone you knew having an income source for every major bill that they see on the horizon. I think that's a thing to do. So if I was retired and I was living on a fixed income, I would try to think of a way to bring in some other investment income. And it's easy for me to say that, right? It's very, very difficult to do. And I definitely understand that. But is there some type of thing you can do to bring in some income? That's what I would do, because selling at this time is not a good idea. When your stocks and mutual funds, when they are depressed, this is not a good time to sell them. We want to buy low and sell high. We don't want to sell low and buy high. We don't want to do that, right? We want to buy low. We certainly don't want to sell low. We want to avoid doing that. You don't want to get less than you paid for something if you can help it, right? And if you sell and get out, if you sell now, then you're most undoubtedly selling at a loss. So that's not going to help, right? Because you got to live tomorrow. And if you sell now and you get out of the market and you say, I'm done, Jevon, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't watch it go down. I don't know when it's going to stop. It seems like it's worse yesterday than it was. Even when we get a bump in the market, like we had a couple of days ago, it doesn't last. Remember the dead cat bounce story. So I don't want to do that anymore. I can't handle it. Put my money in the bank. Okay. When are you going to get back in?
Right, exactly. And I would even say that for real estate, right now, all over the country, but especially in the state of California, real estate is outrageously priced, right? And a lot of people are selling their homes. But where are the buyers? I mean, the interest rates have gone up. So now, and if you did buy, if you did sell, let's say it was great equity, but you have a home that 4 years ago was worth $600,000, which is really probably where it should be anyway in the state of California. But now it's 1.5, 1.7, almost $2 million. Your house is not worth $2 million in real life. But you sell. So now where do you go?
Yeah, you got to move out of state. I just talked to a lady yesterday. That's what her deal was. She says, I'm moving out of state. I don't think she had where she was going to move, but she was selling her home, taking the money and going someplace else, and Social Security will follow you. And the money in your 401k plan, that'll follow you too. So, I talked to a lot of folks who are moving to Florida, Arizona, Costa Rica, Mexico, Portugal, all kinds of different things folks are doing where that dollar is strong enough.
Now I can see moving out of the country. In America, I don't know. Everybody has its pitfalls, right? But I know what, I would never live on the coast of Florida. Never, ever. No part of that coast will I be living on, because did you see people lost their whole everything?
Yeah. And that's the southwestern part, right? Or southeastern part, southwest. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think the other side is all that much better either. I'm not looking to go over there. I am from Alaska, where they have bears and things like that.
Yeah.
But bears don't want to eat you. Alligators have no compunction, in my mind. I see the alligator coming. I am in the closest faraway place I can get to the fastest. That is not good.
I think your biggest scare in Alaska is falling into a fish hole and not getting out.
We don't go where the people are. If you see a polar bear out in the wild, you're lunch. It's not like it's survival at that point, right? But you're in his place, right?
Yeah.
So, other than that, most animals just don't really want to be bothered with you.
Yeah. So yeah,
An
but
alligator.
I could see maybe moving to Costa Rica or a Caribbean island or
Yeah.
something of that nature. I could see
Well,
that.
I mean, you got to be careful, man.
Yeah, you got to be
Even Costa
careful.
Rica has some. Costa Rica has some stuff. Every place has got some stuff.
Everybody got some stuff. You guys got to decide what's your limitation and your bar on stuff. What is your deal
Exactly.
breaker on stuff, right?
Exactly.
but
Exactly.
but I think I don't know. There's some other ways. I don't know if I had a home and it was valued at that, I might take some of that money and invest it. I think a good deal right now in this is, I'm in the entrepreneur world. Everybody knows that, right? But I think one of the things they had said that since post pandemic, some of the reasons behind the big resignation is the fact that so many people have decided to go into business for themselves.
I think
So,
that's very true. Very true.
right.
That says a
So,
lot about the companies that we have here.
right. So, if depending on the business and how innovative, and if it's all part of the tech world or the sustainably energy world, those could be, you do your due diligence, those could be good investments for you. A business, and that business is positioned to go public, or you are assisting that business in going public. That could be some, that's extending out your wealth. Right.
Yes, well, I think you're spot on, but I think just even starting your own business or doing something like that, this is the time to diversify and be successful at that diversification. And I
Yes.
have to say, Americans are some of the most resilient people I have ever seen.
Right.
People making money during the pandemic, people are making money during the depression, people doing what they got to do. So, just kind of sit back and watch the world and think, what can I do? How can I contribute? What do I want to birth into this world now that the inflation is here and prices are going up? That's the way to go. Diversification, that strong offense to protect your defense. I think you have to do that. Other than that, do not sell, please. If you can help it, do not sell. This isn't the time to do that. But I'd like to bring down the charts. So
okay,
I want to make a reminder of the Callan chart, and then I have another one to show you. So let me try
sounds good to
this.
me.
No promises here. Okay, here we go. Oh, nope, that didn't work.
There we go. Something's happening.
So can you see the screen there?
I think if you click where it says view image, I think if you click that, that'll make it a little bit bigger.
Oh, can I do it like this? Does that help?
No.
Well,
see down there, see where it says, you see that little line, or maybe you don't see that. Yeah, it does right there. Did that make it bigger?
No.
I
don't. I had the little line. I clicked view image, and it didn't work. Let me.
Oh. I mean, I can see it. I mean, audience, can you see it? Yeah, you can look closely, unless you guys are.
Even if I make it big like this, does that affect it?
I don't see anything happening, but you
Oh,
probably
really?
could make it big from your,
My screen, it's big.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Okay. So, you can or you can't see it. You can.
I can see it.
Okay. So this is the Callan chart, and this tells you. Some people call it the periodic table of elements. We saw this before, but the reason I bring it up is if you take a look at year over year, it's very difficult for anyone to determine where to put your money. If you get a chance to take a look at one row, for example, I'm looking at 2000 row that has 2000. This is the year 2000. These are the assets that were on top: real estate, then fixed income, then cash. Cash was number 3 place to put your money in 2000. Remember that, the .com thing, small caps, high out, and look at the safety place, large cap equity, negative 9.11. So if you take a look at that, and then you take a look at 2005, the one on top, emerging markets, real estates are number 2. But check out where real estate is in 2009.
Oh yeah, it was in the toilet.
Yeah, right. Way
Right,
down.
exactly.
Yeah. So where do you put your money? And so if you're going to sell and buy into a different portfolio, I would say, which one are you going to choose and when are you going to do it? There's that expression that past performance does not indicate future performance. We have to take that into point of view. So from my position, I would say do not sell. This is the time to buy. Players are made in the off season. Things are cheap. And I want to explain the nuance that we have. Now, this is especially for people that are contributing to their 401k plan now. So for folks that are contributing to their 401k plan now, or that plan that helps you with retirement, for those folks, did I get rid of the share stop thing?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, let me pull this back here.
Now, how often is that calendar chart updated on an annual
They do it
basis?
every year. I'm just cheap, and so they let me see last year's things, so I don't have to join calendar. But they're very kind. They put it out for last year and the year before. So, so the point then is we can't put our money someplace particularly. I would say put it everywhere. So this is a great time for you to reevaluate your portfolio if you can and decide to put money in the market. Notice I'm not saying don't contribute. I'm saying keep putting money in, keep buying, because the myth out there is that throughout your years of contribution, you're building your savings until you get to the point where you've got enough savings to go. The problem with that is they forget the second part of that, build your savings, which is while you're in a company sponsored plan, and this is why they're so important. While you're in that plan, you're buying shares. You're buying them cheap. And if I could bring that back, I don't want to put you through that, but if I could bring that back, I would say -9 for large cap stocks, right? In what was it, 2000. That's a great place to be. Some of us would argue that a better place would be small companies that are profitable and have a high book value. But for this discussion, putting your money all over the market, large caps, small caps, international, real estate, all over the market, as diversified as you can get. That is the trick to surviving inflation, because what that does for you is all throughout your life, you get to buy cheap. And at places right now, or times like right now, you're buying cheap. When the market does come back, you get to profit from that windfall. So now let me show you another chart, and I hope this one works better. This is going to be a chart of the bears and bulls, or that is to say when the market was in a bear market and when it was in a bull market. So let me see if we can pull that up. Let's see, let's share screen.
Awesome.
Can you see that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So the spaces in red are the times when the market is up, and the spaces in black are the times when the market was down. And this is from 1945 to 2015. Like I said, I'm cheap, so I don't have the most updated thing. I'm getting free stuff off the internet here. So you can tell in that time period, 45 to 2015, that's some 50 some odd years, that the market was dramatically more up than it was down. And this is at about 10.5, I believe. It's about, the market has returned about 10.5% since the crash of 29. So that's where we are here. So there's some times when it went dramatically below that. A couple of years we're at -6.6, 66.6, and and then we've got in the 70s there, and then we've got the tech bubble down 42%, right? And when we say the market, of course, we're looking at the S&P 500. So so we see some very tough times, but it's dramatically better in red, rather dramatically in red more than it is in black. So that tells you that we've had downturns, we're going to have downturns. But also tells you that every time there is a downturn, there's an upturn, and it's usually up. So if you can hang on, is what I'm really trying to say. If you can hang on and don't panic and start diversifying, you're going to see some increases in what you had there. And if you capitalize on these downturns, which would be having a well-diversified portfolio, you're investing in all the market, but you're buying cheap.
Right.
Right. That is the deal, is to buy low and sell high. And even when the market is up, like we take a look at 1975, we had that little period there in the early 80s. The market was booming there, right? It still would have been better to buy at a lower level than at a higher level, right? Because you can get that appreciation. The thing is, in general, every 7 or 8 years or so, we have a massive downturn.
Yeah, very reciprocal. That's what the real estate market is, very reciprocal. I mean, cyclical every 7 years, 7 to 8 years.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and just say, tell your kids every 7 or 8 years, the market's going to tank. Tell them how to prepare for that. And that is mentally think it's go time. Now is go time. Now is when we buy. Now is when we want to collect. That's what the market is telling us. It's saying, hey, I know you haven't saved enough. Now I need you to buy so that when the market turns around, you're going to be able to profit and life is going to be good. Right? So that nuance inside the 401k plan is you're buying shares. As long as you don't turn those shares in, you've still got them. You're still winning. And the real beauty of that is, and I keep using this analogy of apples. I think I'll spare you that because people look at me like that doesn't make any sense. But as the more shares you have, the less high they have to be. So, for example, if the market is going up all the time and you're putting the same amount of money in, eventually you're going to start buying less and less and less. And then when you sell, if the market is down a little bit, then you're not making as much money as you could have, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense? But if you're buying cheap, and maybe we should go back to the Callan chart.
Before you do that, I do read. It's kind of interesting because obviously there's more bullish times than there's bear times. But I was in the financial industry, in right there in 1985.
Oh, you're going back there. Okay.
Yeah, and I got out of it and kind of reshifted a little bit, but then when we had the .com bubble, I was back into it in a different capacity, right? And so I've experienced it myself, especially that one after the .com bubble blew.
Right.
Boy, that was brutal.
Hard. It was hard.
That was brutal. So and when you really stop to think about it, that in 2008, 7, 8, which was even more brutal, I think. Both of them were, they were eye-opening, right? Nothing can. I don't think we can take today and compare where we were there, right, during that time. I don't think so. I mean, there are certain percentages of our populations that can, because they never were able to pull themselves up from either one of those, right? But the pandemic, I think more people actually, as a friend of mine likes to say, they came up because there was governmental money being thrown out there that has never been thrown out there before. So a lot of them were able to come up. And I know in the business world, there were so many grants that was just all over the place. And there were business loans that small businesses would have never gotten in any other time.
You're absolutely right. I think the American government has gotten better in a lot of ways with regard to cash, but it's taken it a while to figure that out, right? But you're right. This pandemic could have been dramatically worse if we didn't have some government help. And I have some very conservative friends who say, we didn't need that. That didn't work for us. And look how much graph was created. And I mean, we can argue back and forth how that works, but I think, and where that's led us to where we are now, certainly we can't put it all on one administration, but I think, the prudent person looks for the opportunities rather than running from the fear. And that's what, as an advisor, we really try to do is say, hey, yeah, it's tough. It's going to get worse. Let's take advantage of it. And it's the only thing I can tell someone if they're looking at a situation where inflation is eating into their savings. Last week we talked about medical care and eating up your savings and all of this stuff. I just don't have a really good answer except diversify and don't sell. So if you're looking at you've got fixed income, and you're also looking at having a particular amount that you've got there saved up, and you're looking at that amount dwindle because A, things are becoming more expensive, and B, the market sucks, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. There is no safe place to put your money in the market. And if you don't have enough money to buy something, rental income, whatever, I can't say you can do anything else, but stay working for a little bit longer, hoping that the market comes back, or find a way to bring in some extra income. That's the deal. I wish I could sugarcoat it, but I got nothing. As my colleagues will say, well, if you buy a policy, well, yeah, but if you'd said that, 8 months ago, life was dramatically different. Now, you're not getting what you could have gotten then.
Right, exactly. And then the age, yeah, I think multiple.
You gotta sell.
You got to sell. I think multiple revenue streams is the answer. I don't care where we are. I think it's always the answer, because, as my friend says, that way you can utilize those. You can diversify those revenue streams and direct them where you need them to go. But
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But when money dries up from one location, if you've crafted and designed it, planned it well, then you have it coming from other resources.
Yeah. So you sent me that article, and I posted on LinkedIn. This was a great article, except for one thing, and that is we've been there before. We've been here before. We were here in 2008. We were here in 2001. We were here before I was born. Not that I was born too close to 2001, but I'm well preserved. Anyway,
good genes, dude. Good genes.
There you go. We've been here before, and every time we come here, you'll have folks that, like me, maybe they don't wear polos, but they're like me in the industry, and they get people all whipped up and scared. And people have a good reason to be scared. And our job is not to scare you. Our job is to give you hope and a tool or some tools to turn the situation around. And the tools are, A, don't get in this quagmire in the first place. Right? So we have to teach our kids. We have to change the way we look at the things that we buy and have in order to have a life. And we have to use this as an opportunity. So our job as people now is to find a way to use this time period as an opportunity. And it's there. We just have to figure it out. And at the same time, we've got to diversify. That's pretty much the only thing I can say is we have to diversify. So if you're at a fixed income now, that's going to be hard. I know, because you've worked hard and you really deserve to be able to sit back and relax. I get that. I understand that. But you don't get off the track until you're lying in the grave, right? So you have to diversify. You've got to split it up, and you've got to understand selling's not going to be a good thing for most of us.
Right. But I do think that if you, a lot of my clients actually are, I call them second actors, some of them third actors, right? So they most of us are, if we're retiring at 65, 70, we're still very young. We're different than our parents were, right? We're not gonna roll up and sit and watch TV all day. So we're still very active. We've taken good care of ourselves. Hopefully our health is in the right place. So if you got to stay at your corporate America, whatever, where your retirement plan is stationed, then start planning for the second act, right? So
great idea.
And that's how you can start generating some of that. Write that book now, or
Yeah.
if you've always wanted a flower shop, get the business plan written. Work with a plan so that when it comes time to launch, you can, maybe take some of that money of your retirement money and invest it in a well thought out new business idea, right?
Sell that retirement plan money.
No. I didn't say sell it. I said utilize when it's that time. But before that, you got a paycheck. So your paycheck can help you get to that second act.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I was talking with one of my clients, and I proudly say that most of my clients know what I'm going to say: diversify, buy low, sell high. But obviously, this is a lady hadn't talked to me before. And, she's looking at that retirement very shortly. I don't know how long this is going to last. Nobody does, and I don't even want to say it in this venue. But I can tell you, it's not going to be over tomorrow. So if you're looking at working and you're thinking, I don't have enough, take a look at what Social Security can give you, when it can give you that. Take a look at how you can leave at least some of that money in the market so that it can grow. Unfortunately, when it comes to mutual funds, it's very difficult and time consuming to sell specific ones. You can go back through your records and find, okay, I need to sell this one and this one. I don't even know of a company that will do that for you. That's more of a individual stock play outside of your retirement plan.
Right.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
I think the mindset that we need to have, and I think that's more important than the actual physical investments / monies that we have. The mindset has to change, and we have to get to take advantage of rather than fear. And that's what's gripping a lot of people. They're just afraid.
Yeah.
We've been sold a bill of goods that suggests that there's an easy, quick answer for this, and there isn't. You got to save, and you got to save 5 years ago.
Right.
I don't know how you do that. Except start now having a balanced view.
Well, okay. But again, it's all about you're just not gonna wait and say, okay, go to your HR and say, okay, I'm retiring today. There has to be a plan, right? You just got to put some planning into that process.
Yeah, and I think people are afraid of making a plan because they're afraid of making a mistake, and they're afraid of wasting their time, and they're afraid of doing it the wrong way. One thing I've known about a plan is that if you make one, you can always change your mind. You can always do that. So,
and they got you. They got you. The retirement.
And they got well. Better yet, they have you, Crystal. You're the one telling people about their second act.
Yeah, well, they got us.
They have us. All right, so I don't have anything else to say about that. Shall I read your bio and we let these folks?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was pretty good. It encapsulates. So yes.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce to you again my friend and colleague Crystal Mitchell, who doesn't want to drink with me. Crystal is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions. She's a co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, co-host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, that other weekly radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Thank you, Crystal, for sharing some time with me and this audience. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Any last words for our guest?
No, just like how we always is, just plan. but yeah, just be prepared for, and just know that this is, and this is, I think, on every level of our life. We know that there's going to be some sort of crises at some point in time, some worse than others. So you just can't go through life without a plan, and whatever you're going to do, in that second act requires a plan, and there's so many opportunities out there. So if retirement is 5 years off, this is a good time to start to really contemplate what the second act is going to be, and that's a good way you can start diversifying. And also there are other ways out there you can do that where you can generate revenue, multiple revenue streams in your life, because I don't care whether it's retirement or not, you can't rely on one revenue stream.
Well said. Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. So I'm excited about, and thank you. I'm excited about next week. We have our new friend Donna Stern that's going to join us.
Awesome.
I may need a little help with that the flyer, but we're gonna so I can post it. We're gonna have Donna Stern. She's a CPA, and she's got all kinds of great information and an interesting way of working with CPAs to help you on that second act. So that's a pleasure. You know, we didn't get a chance to talk about why someone should start a 401k now, this time. And I just quickly want to say this is the best time, A, because I sell them, but B, this is the best time to get a 401k, whether you're an employer or an employee, because things are cheap now. It's cheap. Get it now. Also, if this is your first time starting a 401k plan, as an employer, there's some government incentives to help you take care of those first year costs. And now is a good time to do that. If you're an employee, depending on the amount of money you make back, it's got to be pretty low. But talk with that financial advisor to see if you can take advantage of some government help there with regard to contributing to your 401k plan. But I think the most important thing is if you start investing in the market now, you're going to win because you're buying so cheap. We have to emphasize that. Buying cheap, because the future you're going to see a rise. And you saw with if I was better with the chart thing, you'd see how the market goes up in a jagged line. But we happen to be in one of those down parts of the jaggedness there. So, you know,
good time to
take
buy.
Advantage of that instead of being fearful. Take advantage.
Yeah. Just have optimism. Be optimistic, not a glass half full or half empty, which is the right one. Half empty versus half full.
Yeah, there you go. Well, how does that song go? I know you're tired and you want to be free.
Yes.
The best way to do that is to diversify, get in those other streams of income and buy low. And this is when we're doing it.
I think excellent advice, Mr. Retirement Plan Advisor. So, you guys,
thank you.
You can all go reach out to him because the time is now.
Time is now. All righty. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Crystal. Let me talk with you a little bit after the broadcast.
Okay.
And we'll call it quits right there.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.